So if you are a fan of YA horror or YA thriller, or you are thinking about reaching out and trying the genre, then this is the video for you. So going back to the point of this video, I absolutely love anything that's YA horror, YA thriller, as well as adult horror. But in this video, I'm going to be showing you a good couple of books that I have on my shelves that I have absolutely loved. So starting off, here is a stack of all the YA thrillers that I absolutely love. There are a few on here that you probably recognise because I have talked about them quite a lot in my TikTok videos. But yeah, let's get into it. Starting off with one of my favourite series of all time, and that is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I am obsessed with this series, with this author. Holly Jackson is just incredible. I'm sure you're very familiar with the series, but if you aren't, I will quickly run through what these books are about, and then I will tell you my thoughts on them. So, we do have a little novella which is only a couple, like 100 pages long or something, and this takes place, I think it's a year before the first book. So we're following Pip. She is going to a murder mystery party at one of her friends' houses, and this just sort of gets you into how Pip sort of thinks and stuff like that. She's very, very smart. She's very clever, as you'll find out through the rest of the books. But yeah, this is a good book. I actually read this one last, which, you know, is fine. But if you did want to sort of pick this one up first, then that is absolutely fine, because it does really set up what the first book is about. Okay, so book one, we are following our main character, Pip. 5 years ago, in the town that she lives in, there was a girl that went missing. Her name is Andy Bell. However, the police have closed the case. They're convinced that it was Andy, who is the girl that has been missing. They're convinced that it was her ex-boyfriend who had murdered her. So that was it, case closed. However, Pip takes it upon herself to find out what really happened. She is writing a school paper for her final project, and she decides to do some detective work and to figure out what actually happened to Andy. And she is convinced that Sal, her ex-boyfriend, isn't the one that murdered her, and she is convinced that she wasn't even murdered at all. This series is incredible. It's so gripping. I loved everything about it. I love the way that it's written. It's really interesting because there's like case notes and stuff that are in here, transcripts, that sort of thing to follow. When I first flipped through this page, when I first got it, I was a bit like unsure, thinking that I would be able to understand really what was going on because of obviously all the little bits of evidence and stuff that were within this book. However, I didn't need to worry because it was absolutely incredible. Every single one was 5 stars for me. And the last book, which is this one, I literally could not stop reading. Me and my friend Ash were doing this series as a buddy read. We did try to stick to 30 pages a day. However, the last sort of 150 pages, I think we spent all night on the phone together whilst reading it because we physically could not put it down. This remains to be one of my absolute favourite series of all time, and I will constantly recommend it, always. So the next 2 books are from the same author, and that is Raveena Goran, and they are This Book Kills and Catch Your Death. Starting off with this one is set in a boarding school, and one of the most popular boys in the school is found murdered. So Jess, our main character, takes it upon herself to figure out what's happened, because the way that he is found is exactly how she has written a book for one of her class projects. So people are sort of pointing the finger at her because it's very suspicious that she has written a short story and then one of the students goes missing and then is found murdered the same way that she has written in one of her books. I really enjoyed this one. Again, I think I rated this one 4.5 stars. I really like the aspect of this one. I love the fact that the students were taking it upon themselves to try and figure out what happened, rather than just waiting for police and higher authorities to try and figure it out for them. This one was really twisty as well. I didn't really see what was coming. yeah, it was good. It was dark. There was definitely some dark moments within this one, but it was very gripping and I really enjoyed it. So our next book by Raveena Goran is Catch Your Death. I was actually sent this copy by the publishers, so I will sort of overlay the original copy here. Again, this one was really good. I really enjoyed this one. I think I rated this one 5 stars. This one is about 3 different girls who all end up at the same place because they are stuck in a snowstorm. They don't know each other. However, they are all sort of thrown into this family feud that has been going on within the big house. It's like a big, like, estate home. And whilst they're there, they're having a dinner party, and one of the people there ends up dead. So the girls take it upon themselves to try and figure out what's happening. It's really good. I really enjoyed this one. I love that the girls sort of bound together to try and figure out what was going on. I also love the fact that it kept you guessing, because you had these different backstories of all these people who live within the house. So you had like her daughter-in-law and her sons, and then their kids obviously wanting inheritance money and stuff like that. So that was a really good aspect of it, because you kind of didn't really know what was going on. But again, yeah, really good, really worth a read if you like your mysteries. Again, this next book was kindly sent to me by the publishers, so I will overlay a picture of the actual cover. This one is called Where the Sleeping Girls Lie, and I read this one at the beginning of the year, and it fast become one of my favourites of the year. Again, this is a school setting. There is a girl who has to move to the school to finish up her year. She has been homeschooled up until now, so she's never been in a school with other students at all. When she meets her roommate, she is given a tour of the school, and it's great. They seem to get on along very well. But when our main character does fall asleep, she wakes up the next day and her roommate is actually missing. And of course, all eyes are on her because she's the new girl. She's the weird one because she's never been to school before. So all fingers are pointing at her. Yeah, again, it is a student trying to figure out what is actually happening because the high authorities and police are doing absolutely nothing. I really enjoyed this one. Again, it was quite dark. Like, I do find with YA thrillers that they do sort of borderline on what's like going to be too dark, if that makes sense. I got very much, if you have seen or read the series 13 Reasons Why, there is very much similar vibes within this one that there is for that one. If you have seen the show, then I think you will kind of get what I'm getting at. But yeah, really enjoyed this one. Like I said, it was one of my favourite books of the year so far. I have constantly recommended this one when I've seen people posting about picking this one up. I'm just kind of jealous that they are getting to read it for the first time, because it's just so good, and it's just really gripping as well. So my final YA thriller is going back to Holly Jackson, who is incredible, and that is 5 Survive. This one was so good. This is a standalone. It is about a group of friends who are going away for the summer in a camper van. And when they are travelling at night, suddenly one of the tyres blows out and they are in the middle of nowhere. However, they are not alone, because there is a sniper in the woods somewhere targeting these kids, and it's basically about them trying to get out of the situation. Again, this one really does borderline on how dark it could get. Again, it was just so good. They're not like the best of friends, so they are kind of quick to sort of not stab each other in the back, but there's no loyalties there other than like 2 of the friends. But again, our main character, she's so interesting. She's really, like, there's stuff that has been going on in her life that, you know, sort of is quite important to the story. So we do kind of go back to that a couple of times, and each character has got like a big secret that they are keeping from one another, and the sniper kind of wants them to sort of air the secrets out to each other. But yeah, such a good read. It is a standalone, like I said, but to be honest, I think I could read, if it wasn't a standalone and it was a series, I'd be snapping them up straight away. Moving on to YA horror. I love this genre so much. There's actually two of these books are probably one of my favourite books of all time, as well as an author that I never see anywhere. I do feel like she's underrated because her books are incredible and they're so creepy as well. The first one I'm going to talk to you about is a book that I finished not too long ago, and that was White Smoke by Tiffany Jackson. I didn't really know what I was getting into with this one, but when I read the synopsis, it just kind of felt like a film to me, so I picked it up and I really enjoyed it. I think I rated this one 4 stars. This one follows our main character, I've forgotten her name, Marigold. Is it Marigold? Yeah, Marigold. She and her family are moving to a house that is pretty much in a town that is in the middle of nowhere. She is leaving her friends behind because her mother has got a new job, and with that job comes this house. They haven't been there very long before some very creepy stuff starts happening. Stuff starts going missing. There's scenes where she's on her own and she feels like someone has touched her. Just stuff like that. Very, very creepy. But everything you would expect from a ghost story, I guess. I like this one. It kind of kept you guessing all the way through, which is really good. And it was creepy. There were some times where I was sat reading this on my own and I was just sort of like, okay, I think I might need to put this book down now. But that being said, there was other aspects to this book. She deals with anxiety and things like that. She's gone through some stuff in her past, hence in the synopsis it kind of says that she's running away from ghosts. But with that being said, it's just she's kind of trying to run away from her past because she has gotten into some sticky situations, and because of this, no one really sort of believes her when she starts to voice that stuff is going on in this house, because they just think it's just her being her. So yeah, really good. Definitely worth a try if you do like your ghost stories. I enjoyed it. So sticking with ghost stories, I recently finished this one called Scare Me by Terry Terry. This is another ghost story. This follows our main character Liv, who has a twin sister who unfortunately died at birth. However, she has never left. She has always been with her. She's sort of grown up with her. So even though she is like 15, 16 now, so is the ghost of her sister. Nobody else can see her. It is just purely her. And then she bumps into a lad called Echo. He has noticed that she can sort of talk to ghosts. He's seen her talking to no one, so he's sort of put 2 and 2 together and realised that she can see ghosts. And his mother was in a tragic accident a year before, and everyone has said that she did this to herself. She sadly drove her car off a cliff, and they are saying that it was intentional. However, he knows that his mother would never do such thing. She would never leave him. So he does want Liv's help in order to figure out what actually happened, so he can kind of get the truth. This one was really good. It was very YA. I think if it didn't have as much like darker scenes in it, I think it probably wouldn't have been for me. But I rated this one 4 stars, but it was only 4 stars because of the last sort of 100 pages. They were very gripping, you know, there was lots of stuff going on. It did take a while to pick up, but once it did start flowing, it was very interesting. And again, just a quick, easy read. I did read this one with my sister. I think if I was reading it by myself, I probably would have finished it in a day, because it's not a very big book. It's just over 300 pages, so you can't go wrong. The next book that I'm going to talk to you about is a book that I've seen a lot of people reading recently. This is a series, however, I have only read the first book, and that is Mina and the Undead by Amy McCall. This is such a fun read. If you love Buffy the Vampire Slayer, then this is definitely the book for you. This one is set in 1995 in New Orleans, and it is about our main character Mina, who goes to visit her sister. She gets a job working in a tourist museum for vampires, and things do start to go wrong. Our main character, Mina, does stumble across a body with some vampire bite marks, and it turns out someone is trying to replicate some of the most brutal supernatural killings that went on hundreds of years ago, and it is up to Mina to try and figure out what's going on. What I really enjoyed about this one was the friendships that were made. It was nice that Mina was able to come down to where her sister is living and just fit in. And like I said, it was just really fun. And there was just so much nostalgia in this one. You know, growing up in the 90s, there was a lot of references and stuff that I got, which I really enjoyed. So I definitely will be reading the next book in the series soon, hopefully. But yeah, if you love your vampires and you love your YA horror, then this is definitely a book for you. If you are a big fan of your horror films, then this book is definitely something you should consider picking up. This has everything that you could ask for within horror. It is gory and it is twisty, and I was here for it. This one follows our main character. She comes to the school because she has had to move, and she turns to horror films for comfort. Then she meets somebody and he invites her to join a secret group a film group. However, it's not what she thinks it's going to be, and it does turn out that they have to prank other people, and the pranks can be very scary and very dangerous. And one day a prank goes too far and we have to try and figure out what is going on. The group that she has joined, it is just their goal to just go out and scare as many people as possible. However, when things do take a turn for the worse, then it does start to get deadly. Rachel's past does start to catch up with her, and the games start to begin. And unfortunately, this is a game that she just cannot lose. I know I've said this a lot for most of these books, but again, I really love this one. I rated this one 5 stars. It was just so well written and it was just so gripping. I haven't read any more from this author, but I definitely need to venture out and read more from her because the way that she writes her characters is really good. And yeah, just do yourself a favour and just pick it up. Kat Ellis probably writes the most creepiest books I have ever read, especially this one. However, I will speak to you about Harrow Lake in a minute. First off, I'm going to talk to you about Wicked Little Deeds. This one is so creepy. This one follows our main character, Ava Thorne. She has always sort of believed that the legends that go around, like the legendary stories of her small town, have always been myths. However, she is starting to think maybe they're just more than that and they could actually be facts. So when her arch enemy from school is found brutally murdered, all fingers are pointing at her because of how much they hated each other, and it was very obvious to everybody how much they hated each other. This one is very creepy. It definitely has some parts in there where it made me feel very uncomfortable, and yeah, it was it was wild. It was a wild ride, but I loved it. I was definitely loving the creepy vibes of this one, and I definitely think that more people should be reading from Kat Ellis because she just writes spooky stories so well. Harrow Lake is wild. It is like a wild, creepy fever dream. I absolutely adored this book, but flipping heck was it creepy. I was getting goosebumps while reading this one because it's so there's some weird stuff that goes on within this book, but it was written so well. This one follows our main character, Lola. She moves back to a town where her mother used to film horror films. Her dad is the director of said film, and the town is sort of famous for this horror film. When she gets there, some creepy stuff starts happening, and it turns out that someone or something has started to stalk Lola, and it's just basically about her trying to figure out what the hell is going on and how is she going to get out of the mess that she's in. But yeah, creepy. There is one particular scene that has stuck with me from when I finished this book. And I read this book about 2.5 years ago, and yeah, I think if this was a film, I'd be straight to watching it. I think I would love it. It should be a film because it certainly felt like that when I was reading it. But yeah, if you want something creepy, you need to, yeah, think about picking these up, 100%. We are on the last 2 books of this video, and I have saved the best till last. This author is incredible. These books are incredible, and I don't see them enough, which is such a shame. And that is Clown in a Cornfield. This is YA horror. However, when you are reading it, do not think of it as YA horror, because even though it's published by a YA publisher, it's not. It is not. Just be careful on going into these books because they are so brutal. They are so gory. It's incredible. If you love that sort of thing, which I do, I love myself some gory films and gory books. And this is up there with that. They're just amazing. Obviously, I'm not going to talk to you about book 2 as it would spoil, obviously, book 1. So I am just going to talk to you about book 1. But book 3 is hopefully coming out this year, and I cannot wait. So yeah, going back to book 1. We follow our main character, Quinn. She just wants to make it to graduation. She isn't bothered about having friends or anything like that. She moves to this town with her dad just to, you know, finish school and get on with it. However, there is a group of teenagers who do YouTube. I think it's YouTube. They call it YouTube in this. I'm not sure. I can't really remember whether it's called something else, but it's basically YouTube. They film pranks and stuff like that. However, one day something goes horribly wrong with one of their pranks, and that is sort of it. Like, you know, people tend to sort of, they've moved on from this incident that happened. However, when stuff starts to go wrong again, people in the town start blaming these teenagers, making out that obviously it's their doing, it's their pranks. However, it is not. There is a very scary clown in a bowler hat, and he's terrifying. He is causing trouble all around the town, and there is a certain party that happens within the cornfields one night, and it is a massacre. It is a wild ride. I fell in love with a couple of the characters within this book, and I still think about them very often. I have found myself comparing these characters to other characters as well, because these books just sort of hit the spot with everything that I'm looking for within these characters, like young teen characters within these sorts of books. It's just amazing. But again, it's just so gory. But I honestly did not feel like I was reading. I read it in 2 days because I just physically couldn't put it down. I think I read like 200 odd pages in the space of an hour and a half because it just flowed so well. It just did not feel like a book. It felt like I was in a film or I was watching a film, and it's just stuck with me. It's amazing. This author, Adam Cersei, he is it Cersei? Caesar? We move on. He's amazing, and I cannot wait to see what else he brings. I cannot wait to see what book 3 is going to be about. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it is coming out this year, and I flipping hope so, because I physically cannot wait. But yeah, favourite book, horror books of all time, Clown in a Cornfield. So that is it. Those are my favourite YA thriller and horror books. Please do let me know if you have read any of these or if you're thinking of reading any of these. I would really much appreciate it. And if you did like this video, then please consider subscribing to my channel. and I will be back shortly with another video. I'm not quite sure what kind of video it's going to be yet. I am thinking of having a fantasy month next month, so it's probably going to be loosely based around my fantasy reads. But that is it for today, so I will speak to you soon. Bye!